The Drakenar were legends whispered across 1,000 star systems. Ancient, immortal, and utterly untouchable. Their young, the cubs, were said to be more dangerous than their elders, feral things of scale and starfire who trusted nothing that breathed. The galaxy had learned this lesson in blood. Empires had fallen trying to approach their nesting grounds. Diplomats had been incinerated for daring to extend peaceful greetings. So when the human colony ship Wanderer's Hope crash-landed on Thari's Prime, everyone aboard knew they were dead. The survivors huddled in the wreckage for 3 days, rationing oxygen and hope in equal measure. The distress beacon pulsed weakly into the void, but rescue was weeks away if it came at all. Outside, through the cracked viewport, they could see the crystalline spires of the Drakenar nesting grounds rising like frozen lightning against the violet sky. On the 4th day, 6-year-old Lyra wandered away. Her mother had fallen asleep, exhausted from treating the wounded. The child had been exploring the cargo hold, playing among the scattered supply crates when she found the breach in the hull. It was small, just wide enough for a child to squeeze through. Curiosity, that most human of traits, pulled her forward. The forest beyond was impossible. Trees with bark like flowing mercury, flowers that hummed in frequencies that made her bones vibrate, and a sky filled with 3 moons that hadn't been visible from the ship. Lyra walked with the fearlessness of innocence, her small emergency breather mask hanging loose around her neck. The air here was breathable. Sweet with something like cinnamon and lightning, she found the nest by following the warmth. It radiated from a clearing where 5 dragon cubs, each the size of a transport shuttle, lay coiled around a central depression filled with what looked like liquid starlight. Their scales shifted between colors that had no names in any human language. Steam rose from their nostrils with each breath. Lyra should have been terrified. Any adult would have been. But children see the world differently. Pretty, she whispered, taking a step closer. The nearest cub's eye snapped open. It was Vern, the eldest. His scales, predominantly deep cobalt, shot through with veins of silver. His pupil, vertical and ancient, fixed on the tiny intruder. The temperature in the clearing rose 10 degrees. Lyra tilted her head. "Are you sleeping? My mama says I'm not supposed to wake people up when they're sleeping." Vern's lips peeled back, revealing teeth like curved swords. A low rumble built in his chest, the sound that preceded immolation. The other cubs began to stir, alerted by their brother's growl. But Lyra didn't run. She was tired from her walk, and the nest looked so warm. She'd been cold on the ship, always cold in the recycled air and emergency lighting. Here heat radiated like the embrace she missed from before the crash, before everything went wrong. "I'm sleepy too," she said, yawning, and with the simple logic of an exhausted child, she walked directly toward the nest. Vern's head drew back, preparing to strike. His siblings rose around him, forming a wall of scale and fury. But Lyra didn't see threats. She saw warmth and softness and a place to rest. She climbed over Vern's foreleg. It was as thick as her entire body and nestled into the curve where his body met the ground. "You're warm," she murmured, her small hand patting his scales, "like the heater in my room," before it broke. Then she closed her eyes and fell asleep. The clearing went absolutely silent. Vern stood frozen. This impossible creature curled against him. He could feel her heartbeat, rapid and fragile as a bird's. One flex of his claws would end her. One breath of fire would leave nothing but ash. Every instinct screamed at him to eliminate the threat. But she had touched him, not with weapons or nets or the neural dampers that other species tried to use. She had simply trusted him. The concept was alien. The cubs had been taught from hatching that the universe wanted to use them, their scales for armor, their fire for weapons, their very essence for power. They had watched their parents drive away hundreds of species with prejudice. Trust was not something given. It was not something received. Yet here was this tiny being breathing softly against his side, completely vulnerable. Vern's other siblings crept closer, their hostility evaporating into confusion. The youngest, barely a month from her egg, extended her neck to sniff the child. Lyra smelled of strange chemicals and recycled air, but underneath was something else. Something that resonated in frequencies the dragons understood intrinsically. She smelled of family, of trust given without calculation, of love without condition. "She's dreaming," one of the siblings observed. watching Lyra's eyes move beneath closed lids. "We should wake her," another suggested half-heartedly. "Tell her to leave." But Vern was already moving carefully, impossibly gently for a creature of such size. He curled his body around the sleeping child, his tail completing the circle, his scales dimmed to emit comfortable warmth rather than searing heat. The other cubs, following his lead, arranged themselves in a protective ring. When Lyra's mother finally found her, following the child's footprints in panic, leading a desperate rescue party, she stopped at the clearing's edge, her weapon falling from nerveless fingers. Her daughter slept peacefully in the center of a dragon nest, 5 cubs arranged around her like guardian statues. Vern's head rested near Lyra's, one massive eye open and watching the approaching humans with an expression that wasn't quite threatening, but absolutely protective. "Don't move," the colony's xenobiologist breathed. But he was wrong about the reason. They weren't in danger of being attacked, they were being tested. Lyra stirred, yawning, and opened her eyes to see her mother. "Mama, look. I made friends. They're warm and nice, and they didn't eat me even though they're really big." She patted Vern's snout affectionately. The great dragon's eyes closed briefly, what might have been contentment. The galaxy would never understand what happened that day. Scholars would debate it for generations, but those who witnessed it knew the truth. Humans had walked among stars carrying their most dangerous weapon, a child's capacity for fearless love. And for the first time in recorded history, the dragon's cubs had found something worth protecting more than themselves. Vern remained at Lyra's side for the next 40 years, until the day she died peacefully at an old age surrounded by her own children. And when dragon ambassadors finally emerged to join the Galactic Council, they spoke only to human representatives, because humanity, they said, had taught them the one thing the cosmos had failed to. That trust, once given freely, was sacred above all things.